Hey, welcome everybody to the Ship Leadership and Entrepreneurship podcast. This is a platform where we breathe, where we talk and live leadership. Our goal is to raise a generation of visionary leaders, and my legacy is not going to be the money that I'm going to make. It's not going to be the cars. It's not going to be the clothes, but it's definitely going to be the people that I would have helped. So if this is helpful for you, please like, share, subscribe. Today we have an amazing guest for you guys. We have the coolest worship leader. She's a pastor at Vous Church. She is amazing. She plays bass. Today we're going to have a bass off because I also play bass. So we're really going to have a bass off. So ladies and gents, jelly babies, weighing in at 100 pounds, please welcome Manouchka Charles.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I love that. I love it. The face off. I'm ready for it. Let's go. You might win. I think you'll win.
Come on. No, you're way better than me. I saw this video that you posted on your story. And it was crazy. I was like, oh wow. It's crazy now that we have a lot of female bassists that are really kicking it off.
Yeah.
Really kicking it off. How did you start?
I started playing. I grew up in church, and so my brother was a musician, and I remember he brought home a guitar one day, and he kind of just let it sit in his room, and he didn't do anything with it. And so after a few months of the guitar just sitting there, I kind of picked it up and started trying to figure out how to learn how to play guitar, and started off on the guitar. And I remember when I moved to Miami, I was like, I want to learn how to play bass. Like, I always loved the bass.
Yeah.
And I remember this one Sunday, our bass player dropped out, and they were like, Manouchka, I need you to just learn this song. You got about 2 hours, learn these songs and play it. And so I kind of was like a fill-in bass player, which forced me to get into playing bass. And so from then on, I was like, you know what, I want to actually like try to learn. And so I bought a bass and started practicing and would play here and there on Sundays. And so that's kind of how I got started on the bass, just kind of like fell into it because of a need, but I love the bass. It's probably my favorite instrument, hands down.
Oh, that's crazy. I think I can relate with that. There are many times where in church, you don't have a media guy, and boom, you're now the new media person. You don't have someone playing the keyboard, then boom, you are now the person who is playing. And it just kind of happens where you just come in and fill in those gaps, so that your ministry goes on. But I like that very much. Anyway, so today our conversation is going to be mainly on leadership. This is leadership, my favorite topic, and I know that you were the best person to talk to when it comes to this. So, how do you define leadership? How do you define leadership?
I think the way that you can define leadership is by having a vision that you carry that other people can follow. Or even sometimes you're carrying somebody else's vision and you're helping that be put into fruition. I think leadership is caring for other people. I think it's knowing that you're a leader, and you're a leader because there are other people who are alongside you that you are supposed to pull out greatness in them. I think a leader is someone who sees potential in people, who sees the value in people, who can see things in the seed form, but can see it as it can be when it grows. I think really leadership is being able to cultivate something down on the inside of somebody.
I like that. I like that so much. I like that. I think I agree with you very much. It's one of the things that this platform is all about. Is about helping to raise a generation of visionary leaders, because I believe that you can be a leader leading people to do the right thing, or you can be a leader leading the people to do the wrong thing. So like you have different kinds of leaders. So I want to ask you as a follow-up question to what you just said, what is your leadership style? How do you define your leadership style?
I think that, I don't know, are they different like styles, like words for them? But I may not necessarily have the words to the leadership. I don't know all the technical terms. Are they technical terms?
Yeah, I think they're about 6, but you can answer.
Yeah. So I think my leadership style has always been the type that I want to bring people along the journey. I want to be able to reproduce who I am. I want to be able to see, like I mentioned, I want to be able to see something in someone and say, hey, I want to actually pull greatness out of you. And I think my leadership style has always been being able to be in the trenches with people and being able to meet them where they are and to bring them up to the level at which I believe that they can be at, you know, being able to help someone to raise up, to be a leader that sees something in someone and is okay with speaking into that. Like, I want to be okay with saying, hey, like, I know you did it this way, but here's the right way to do it, or here's another way to do it. So I think I've been a leader who's just one that I want to be involved, and I want.
How do you motivate your team? So let's say you're leading your team in the different departments that you lead. How do you get to motivate your team? Because sometimes if your team is not that motivated, then it affects the results that you're going to get in that particular department or organization.
Yeah, I think for me, what I like to do is I try to allow people to see the full picture as much as I can give of our end goal, as much as I can give the why behind the what. Hey, this is why we're doing it. It may take us 15 steps to get there, but if I can really focus on the why and I can focus on the big picture, that has been really the motivating factor of like, hey, like, I know this work might be hard, and I try to be really careful of the language that I choose of, you know, of what I say the task or the work might be. Like, hey, I know that we have a lot of work ahead of us, but this is why we're doing this. And the outcome of this is going to be that. And the fruit of this is going to be that. And so really just allowing the people that I'm around to see the why behind the what, and then also to see what's going to be produced from what they do, and motivating them in that sense of just. And I think leadership is so different when you lead in the church, because we do have a huge why. And
yeah, that's very important. That is very important. In your sermon, it's a hard thing. My favorite sermon, by the way. I love it. I love it. I love it. You spoke about the story of Ruth and how Ruth was gleaning after the people that were in the fields. My question to you is, who are you gleaning after? 1, 2, and what are you gleaning from them?
Yeah. I think that I have such an opportunity to be around some really great leaders, and my pastors here at Vous Church, Pastor Rich and Don Cherie, are 2 leaders that I am gleaning after, that I have the amazing opportunity really to learn from, that have been a part of my life, who have really helped shape who I am as a leader. I also have a mentor back in Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. So I have a mentor back home who I'm gleaning from, and I watch the way that she leads her life. She's been such a huge spiritual leader. And like, for her, I've been able to watch her life since I was 14 years old, her waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning and praying and seeking the Lord. And she's always inspired me and has always taught me about how to seek the Lord and how to be still before God. And so I've been learning a lot of that from her and from my pastors. I think everything when it comes to spirituality and when it comes to leadership, when it comes to people and loving people and how to build the local church is really what I've been able to glean after, of how to see bigger, how to involve more people in my story, how to live a life that is open and accountable. I've been able to glean so much from watching leaders who open up their lives, who care for people, who open up their homes, who love people. And so I've just been picking up whatever I can learn from them. I'm picking it up because I really want to learn so much, because I just see how they live life, and I see how they love people, and I see how they seek the Lord, and I see how they study and how they plan and how they prepare and how they operate in a meeting. And so all of these things I'm paying attention to, so that I can see what areas that I can get better in and what I can learn from that, so that I can pull what they have been showing me. And sometimes the gleaning doesn't necessarily have to be a sit down, all right, I'm going to teach you this lesson today, but it's really more been, I just need to watch. If I pay close attention, I can watch and see somebody's life. So they may be somebody from afar, but if I watch closely and I pay attention to their lives, I can learn something. And so I've been able to just pay attention and watch and listen and learn and be still from so many different people in my life.
Wow. I believe you serve under the greatest leaders ever. Rich and DC are amazing. Honestly speaking, when I look at my life and the things that I am aspiring to do and the things that I'm doing, it's because of the influence that I've, like, they are by far my greatest influence. Like, because if you see what how their ministry has help me when I'm times when I'm down, when I'm up, when I'm trying to do certain things. The ministry has been a ministry that has been a voice in my life. Let me put it that way. Yeah. If I'm to think of one word that best describes them, I think I would say influence. I would say influence. I mean, when you look at them and how influential they are, do you sort of can you sort of pinpoint one thing that you can say they are like that because of this?
Yeah, I think that they have, both of them come from amazing families, and I have the privilege of knowing both of their families, both their moms and dads, and I've just
Yeah.
seen the way that they've interacted with their family, and the way and the love that is within the family has shown me why our community is the way that it is. I think that if you have ever visited Vous Church or been a part of anything that we've done, there's such a family community aspect of that, and I think that has come from just their upbringing, just the importance of family and the importance of community and the importance of connection. And I think that's the one thing that people can look at, and they step into Vous Church like, wow, this feels like home, or I feel so comfortable here. And it's because they've always fostered an atmosphere where you can feel comfortable. They've always curated an environment where you can feel comfortable. And that goes to their parents on both sides, to their families. They always want people to feel welcome, and that is the same spirit that you'll see in our church, that we want people to feel welcome. We want them to feel warm. We want them to feel like they're a part of this, and that they are a part of our family.
Wow, one thing that I love about Vous Church is the culture. The culture at Vous is something that most churches are still aspiring to. You guys have your own unique culture that is, I can't find the right words to describe it. And one thing that I love about Vous Church is just the intentionality of everything. You guys are so intentional about everything that you do. And looking at all that, who sets that pace? I know that Rich and DC are the leaders, but who sets the pace for the church in terms of the culture, in terms of the pace and the intentionality of everything? Who sets that pace?
Of course, it starts with our pastors. They have set the tone. They have laid out what their culture is like. We have talked about culture a lot. That culture is it happens by design or by default, and we've decided that we want to design our culture. And I think from the moment that we've started our church, we've been talking about the culture that we want to have in our church, and that has really been the culture that our staff upholds. And our staff is really connecting with our servant leaders and all the leaders who they're not on our staff, but they are part of our team, and we have been injecting that culture within. And so we really think it's important that culture infiltrates everywhere. So it just can't stay at Pastor Rich and DC. Like, I have to carry the culture as my own, and every leader that I get to lead with has to carry the culture. And so we've just seen it where our staff has made a big deal about carrying the culture. Every team leader that we have, every small group leader is carrying the culture. And so we are just teaching what we know. We're teaching this culture that we have been introduced to, the vision that's been given to us by our pastors. We are carrying that vision, we're carrying that culture, and we're making sure that we are fighting to keep culture. So that's the important thing for us. It's like culture is the way that you speak, it's the way that you act, it's the way that you think. And so it's helping to shape, how do we speak?
Wow, I love that so much. I love that so much. Who have been like some of your greatest influences, besides Rich and DC, of course, who have been some of the people that you can say these people have spoken in my life? These people have been the greatest influences.
Yeah.
I think I have an idea, but I'd love to hear you say it. Let's hear.
What do you think it is?
I think firstly, I'll say Sarah Jakes Roberts. Of course, yeah. I'll probably say Mike Todd.
Love him. That's family.
That's family, yeah. Yeah, I think for now I'll say those two.
Yeah, I think that, I love Sarah Jakes. I think she's a huge role model of mine. I think just the way that she preaches, carries herself, all of that across the board. I love her so much. She's a great influence to Miami, Pastor Mike and Natalie, personally, who they are, have been such a great blessing to me. I think they've always been so encouraging and have really championed me as a person. So I'm so thankful for them. I love hearing Pastor Stephen, and he's amazing. And there's some other influences that people may never know their name, and they don't know who they are, and they don't have YouTube views or an Instagram, but there are a lot of people from just my upbringing who have had tremendous influence on my life, who have prayed with me and who have done things out of me, and they're just, I think it's crazy. Some people never know who their names are, that they never see them or know them, but they have impacted my life so tremendously, and I still stand on their shoulders today because of their vision to be able to today and who I am as a person.
Yeah. John C. Maxwell defines leadership as influence, and Craig Groeschel talks about leadership as influence. What is influence? Because is influence having 1 million YouTube subscribers, 1 million followers on Instagram? What is influence? How do you say, how do you?
Yeah, I think influence. Yeah.
Go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, I would say that influence for me, yeah, it may not be the amount of followers you have, but I think it might be the impact that you have in your sphere of influence. Because I think about people who have influenced me that have 0 followers on Instagram, people who I would consider as influencers that may not have a presence on social media or views on YouTube. And so I think that influence is the ability to see and the ability to speak and persuade and to help people see. It's a perspective shift. Like if I can influence someone, it's me saying, hey, I need you to see this differently, and you seeing it differently will get you to act differently and get you to do something different. Can I influence you to change your mind? Can I influence you to go another way? Can I influence you to try or think about something different? And I think that's what influence is, just the ability to say, hey, like, oh, I see that. I think I want to do that. And so I think it's really important as people who, we all have influence, but it's really important to say, hey, how am I going to influence people? Am I going to influence people to do good things, or am I going to influence people to do bad things? So it's like, we have to figure out how we want to use our ability to influence people.
It's funny you say that. You mentioned that, and I like what you just said when you're saying that everybody has influence, but it's just that the levels of influence could be different. I remember a story that happened when I was during my dumb days. This story happened, I think I was probably 18, and what happened is I was in a relationship with this lady, girl, whatever. And then we were in the street, so we just came out of church and we were standing like just across the road. So in my mind, I'm just holding my girlfriend, and it doesn't matter. And this man came to me, stopped the car, and he said, "What are you doing? You don't understand how people look at you. You don't understand that there are probably 5 or 10 people that look up to you, that you influence, that are going to think that it's okay to do that because they saw you do that." And at the time I was like, you don't know what you're talking about, leave me alone. But thinking about it now, I'm seeing it from a different perspective, where I can really see that whether you're influencing 1, whether you're influencing 2, whether you're influencing 20 or 20,000, you are still in a position to influence somebody to do something, to do the right things. And we have a lot of pastors and ministries that are feeling intimidated because I don't have a lot of people that are following me, or I don't have 20,000 YouTube subscribers, and they end up not really fulfilling what God called them to do. And which is you are a very influential person, and that's what I love about you. No, I mean that. I mean that you are very influential. When you hear other people talk about Manouchka and they talk about you, people that go to Vous, you can really see how much people love you, how much people, um, appreciate you. Was there ever a time that you can say that, it was not like that? It was not like that, or when you were starting, or when Vu was starting, like, was there ever a time when you can say it was not like that? How did you manage to get to that level?
Yeah, I think that there always is a time. We all start from somewhere, and I think that there was a time where it wasn't like that. But I think our church has always had such a great culture where they've just embraced people and embraced leadership. But I think there was a time where no one, there where no one's checking for you, or no one's like, oh, what are you doing today, or what's going on with you, where you don't have, quote unquote, it's not where it is now, you know what I mean? And it's like, I feel like even while I'm saying that, I was like, I don't even know where my influence is now. I'm not like saying that I have this great influence, but I'm not diminishing my level of influence either, because I know God has given me influence. But yeah, there was a time where it's just regular old me, and I didn't preach, and I didn't sing, and I didn't do anything, and I was just me, and I think that even through that time, the reason why God has allowed me to even have influences, because I just kept on being me. I think that hasn't changed. It's like,
Wow.
okay, just continue to be you and continue to be obedient. God is the one who gives the increase. God is the one who gives the influence. And really all I can do is be obedient to God. And he can give whatever level of influence that he wants. He can do whatever he wants with that. I think I've just always had an open heart to say, hey, I want to care for people and I want to help people. And I think my heart for wanting to help people has allowed people to say, hey, I want to gravitate towards somebody who cares and who wants to actually help me in my life. And so I think if I could answer that question, it would be just being me and caring about people. It's like, if I have influence and I don't care about the people I'm influencing, then it's like, what is that about? Like, I have to actually care about the people that God has entrusted me with. And I think that is what blesses people, when they know that they're not just a follower, they're just not another person that attends my small group, but there's somebody that I actually care about and want to see win in life. And so I think I answered the question.
Yes, you did. You did. Very quickly, I'm gonna play a game with you quickly.
Okay.
The game is Would You Rather. You know the
Okay.
game, right?
I've heard of it.
Yes. So I'll give you two options. You basically choose one option. Okay. So the first one is, would you rather eat McDonald's or Burger King for a month?
I might have to go with McDonald's. I don't even eat McDonald's, but I might have to choose McDonald's.
Really?
Yeah. Because I feel like Burger King doesn't have enough variety for me. I feel like, what am I going to eat, a Whopper every day? At least you got chicken nuggets, you got a Big Mac. I got, there's variety.
Oh, I see you've been cooking some nice meals. I can't wait. I can't wait to taste that. I can't. I've been meaning to try one. See if but I think cooking is just not for me. I think it's just not for me.
Hey, I'm surprised. You might be surprised.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So, would you rather spend the day with Jay-Z or Kanye West?
I would have to go with Jay-Z. I think I might go Jay-Z.
I am so surprised.
You can't be, because I'm from Brooklyn, and so Jay is from my city, and so I would go with a Brooklynite all day.
Wow.
Beyonce, so I love Kanye though. I love Kanye, but if I could sit and chat with anybody, it would be my fellow Brooklynite,
Wow.
Jay-Z, Sean Carter.
Did you get a chance to meet him when they came for Sunday service at Vous Church?
I got the chance to meet him, like, hey, like a little wave, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it was a quick pass.
Oh wow. It's amazing that you guys get to experience some of these things at Vous Church. Yeah. It is amazing.
It's special. It's been special for real.
Yeah. Okay. Would you rather? Okay. What's a perfect gift for you? A spa date or a surprise dinner with friends?
it's a stipulation, but I would say a spa day.
A spot? Wow. You're really shocking me with these answers. You are really shocking me with these answers. You are. But yeah, wow. Okay, let's go for the last one. Would you rather live in Paris or London? I was gonna use New York, but obviously you're from New York. Obviously you said New York, but I'm gonna use Paris.
That's a tough one. I'd say I would go maybe London. I would go London.
So let's move on. Do you have a crazy idea that you'd like to, achieve before you graduate into glory? Like something that is crazy and and absurd and out of this world. I'll tell you mine. Mine. I have a 6-part crazy one. The first part is, I want to go and learn from Levi and Jenny Lasco the art of not keeping your hands off each other. That is before I get married. So that is one thing I want to learn from them. Go to Craig Rochelle, learn how to have 6 kids and not go crazy. go to go to Carl Lenz, learn how to cry, every sermon while you're preaching, just cry, show emotion.
That's awesome.
Yeah, go to Richard DC. Just learn the art of making everything sound cool, and creativity. Rich can be saying that generosity is our privilege, and it sounded like, wow, I want to learn that from him. Go to Chad Vich, and this is the most important one. Learn the art of marrying someone who's way out of your league. Chad's words, not mine. These are Chad's words, not mine.
That's hilarious.
And obviously go to Judah and Chelsea Smith and learn the art of pastoring people that are way more famous than you. Their words, again, not mine. And go to Pastor Mike Todd, learn how to preach with 10x Red Bull energy on stage. Yeah, so that's like my crazy 6-part.
That's great. I love that you thought that out. That's really awesome. That is really good. I love that. I would say that the one thing that I've always wanted to do is to go on tour. So like some kind of musical tour, like when I think about arenas and being in a sold out arena, traveling around the world. Like, I think that's one crazy dream that I probably have.
Yeah, that is crazy. That is crazy. And I also noticed that when I was watching It's a Hard Thing, you mentioned that you want to get an honorary doctorate.
I do want the honorary doctorate. I do want that still.
In ministry.
I'll take any doctorate they give me.
Are you sure? Any.
If it's honorary and I didn't have to pay for it, I'm good. I want it.
Wow. That is crazy. Okay. Yeah. So this is probably one of the most important questions I really wanted to ask during this thing. How do you manage to use creativity in the department that you lead, whether it's VUCAM, whether it's cruise? Like, how do you manage to use creativity?
I think for me, it's getting around other people and not just trying to get the creativity by myself. And so for me, it really has been a looking and viewing on how to make things better. I think the pursuit of wanting to make things better is one thing for me, but then also collaborating with people. I think creativity and collaboration work hand in hand. And I've seen some of the best creative work happen in collaboration. And so for me, it's always saying, hey, how can I collaborate with somebody who is outside of my department, who's outside of my job role, my personality style? How can I collaborate with them to create something? And so I think creativity for me has been that. It's also been just praying and asking God to give me new ideas and new vision and new strategies and new dreams on how to do things and to keep things creative and to keep things fresh and to attempt to run the same play for, but then also trying to see how can I actually make this better. James Clear talks about making things 1% better. How can I make this better by the 1%? And looking at things that way allows us to get creative and allows us to think outside of the box.
Thank you very much for answering that in the way that you did. I got an opportunity to attend cruise, and it was by far the best experience that I've ever had. Like, I never attended a crew, a small group like that. You guys just do this thing where you go a little extra. I mean, who structures that? Who structures crews, and like, what's the process? How do you guys do that?
Yeah, so I oversee all of our small groups. Yes. And we have been really, for the past 4 or 5 years, since before we even started church, we had crew. And so we kind of mapped out what we wanted our crews to be like and what a great experience would be like. And so what we had thought up of a great experience, and I have only been leading crews for about 1.5 years. And so there were great leadership conversations that happened before my time, but we just thought of creating an environment where people can feel comfortable. And how you do that? You start off with an icebreaker. You creative over Zoom of thinking of different ways of how to do that. And so we've kind of created a flow that all of our crew leaders follow, where it starts off with the icebreaker. And then from the icebreaker, you go into your discussion, from the discussion, prayer and praise, and then connecting at the end. And so we've kind of laid out this flow for our crews, and we've just resourced them.
Yeah, so thank you very much for that. You were talking about how you guys structure your crews. I wanted to find out, like, I know, do you guys only meet via Zoom only because of the pandemic? But obviously, when it's not during the pandemic, how do you guys work around your meetings, and where do you meet, and how do you do it?
Yeah. So what we're going to do is, we've kind of stepped into this online world and we're not going back. And so we'll still have some of our crews meet online for sure, just so we can engage with our online audience. But usually crews will meet in different restaurants and different places throughout Miami and South Florida. And so people will find a restaurant, they'll pick a place, and that'll be their location for the season. We have a few crews that meet in homes, but majority of our crews do meet in public spaces to allow for people to feel comfortable to join. And so outside of, the pandemic and Zoom, we would usually meet at a physical location, and we'd be able to see each other and hang out and do all these things. So yeah.
Wow.
So outside of that,
wow. And how do you structure your crews in a way that is effective towards the individual? How do you structure it in such a way that is effective towards the individual's spiritual growth? Like, how do you structure that?
Yeah, I think the way that we structure that is with what we call building blocks. And so within every crew, you have 2 crew leaders, but then you have 2 co-leaders, and you have a cultivator and a calculator. Wow. And really all 6 of us are working together and making sure that we're staying connected with people. So if someone attends our crew, we want to keep up with them. We want to stay in touch with them. So I may have 10 people that I keep up with, and the other person might have 10 people they keep up with. And so individually, we're making sure that we're connecting with people, that they have a personal touch. Everyone might not have a personal touch with everyone, but they do have someone that is reaching out to them.
Oh, and like, as a leader of a crew, what are the things that you look out for when you're appointing someone? The 6 different positions that you just told me now, well, within the group, to start leading their own. Like, what are the things that you look at?
Yeah, I look for someone who's engaged, someone who speaks up, someone who will answer a question and provide great insight. I'm looking for someone who cares about connecting, someone who is consistent, who shows up, can see that they want to be a part of this, and that it is really helpful, who care. Like, I've seen people who, heard someone share and took it upon themselves to reach out to people to be connected to them. So I'm really looking for people who are proactive, who love people, who are communicating well, who are sharing their heart, and who carry that culture.
Yeah, one of the things issues that we've been experiencing in our own ministry is the disconnect between the age groups. So there's this, the old people are, and the majority of the church is the young people. So there's the disconnect between the two age groups, so the old people and the young generation. But now the problem now comes when it comes to small groups, to crews. Now when they have to meet in the same space, like how do you manage having people with different age groups and different phases of life having to meet in the same crew or same place?
Yeah. So I think we've always said to people, we've got 170 plus crews, and there's a crew for you. So it's like my crew might not be for you, but maybe there's another crew that's the crew for you. And so I think just letting people know that there are crews with different generations and different ages. And for us, it's like the crew that you go to is completely your choice. And if you feel like you fit in, it doesn't matter. We have people who are much older who come to our crew and feel like they fit right in, and age is not an issue. And so I think that for us, it's helping people find the right space, helping them find the right crew, and having a diversity of leaders. Like, we want to make sure that our leadership is diverse, culturally, but then demographically, age-wise. We want to have a wide range of leaders so that people can connect with other people. So sometimes people might go to a crew and they don't feel like it's the right one. I try to help direct people to a crew that might be a better fit for them.
Wow, thank you very much for that. I have this question. I believe it's the most important question. How do you stay emotionally healthy with all the demands that are made on your life? Like, how are you managing to stay emotionally healthy?
I think just accountability. Like I mentioned, like I'll get on the phone with my mentor and we'll just kind of talk, and we'll talk through where we're at in life. She'll find out where I'm at, what I'm feeling, and help me navigate through all of that. And so living my life open has been the way that I can stay emotionally healthy. Like, I'm not keeping it all in. I'm having conversations with people. I'm inviting people into my story, inviting people into my life, inviting people where I am, and then asking for help. I don't have to be a superhero. I'm not trying to be a superhero. I'm not trying to do everything on my own. So I make sure that I'm asking for help in the areas that I need help, so that I don't feel like I'm carrying this weight all on my own. And then just remembering that it's just like, if God has brought me to this, he's going to continue to give me the grace and the resources for me to carry out his plan. And so this is God's plan, not mine. And so holding on to, it's not just about me, it's so much bigger than me, has been helpful to keep me emotionally healthy and stable.
Wow, that is so helpful. That is so helpful. I'm so going to use that. You are a beast of a preacher. And what I mean, what I mean by that is you're really good at when you deliver your communication in terms of preaching. How do you sermon prep? It's something that I always wonder, and I've been asking everybody I've been interviewing, like, how do you sermon prep? Because I'm trying. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but I'm always open to learning. Yeah.
I think the way that I sermon prep is whenever I'm asked to speak, or like right now I'm just writing every day, and so I just am in the habit of writing. And so if I have a thought or something, I'll write it down, so that if I am asked to speak, sometimes I'm asked to speak on a certain topic, and my prep goes a different way if that's the case. But then I always want to keep some ideas on hand, like things that I'm thinking about, things that I'm pondering on. But when it does come to study time, whatever that topic is, I start studying that. I look in the concordance. I look at commentaries. I'm reading Charles Spurgeon. He's probably the first person that I'll read to find out what he's saying on the matter. I'll open up Systematic Theology by Wayne Grudem. I'll look through different things so that I can at least build up some ideas. And from that, I'll try to consume as much as I can. So for me, the first few days of prep is just consumption. I'm just consuming content and consuming ideas and thinking. And then from there, I try to piece my thoughts together. So I'll probably go for a walk and I'll just talk out loud and process all that I've consumed. And then from there, I will begin to map out, where do I want to go? What story do I want to tell? What do I want people to leave out of here with? How do I start this introduction? How does this relate to my life personally? And so I'll kind of start building upon there. And so I'll start writing based on that, and I'll continue to write and talk out loud. Talking out loud helps me to get my mind going. It helps me to be thinking about different things. So when I do that, I'm like, oh, I have that idea. Let me add that here. And so after the writing phase, I'll probably send it over to my pastors to review it and to get their input and to get their insight on what they're thinking. I'll probably process it with some friends, probably one or two people. I'll say, hey, like, what do you think about this idea? What do you think about this concept? I'll get my mindset on it. And after I've kind of finished the writing phase of it, I'll go into just trying to memorize and getting it into my heart and getting it into my head and really just allowing God to do what he does with it, you know? So it's like, let me write it. And then I just want God to use it however he so desires.
Wow. And when you deliver the actual sermon, do you do you write down everything, your major points, or you just sort of frame everything and just say from the heart?
I write everything down. So I'll write everything down, every story, but I don't necessarily read it. So like I'll put my notes in the back, like I'll use a tall table and the tall table's behind me, just so it's a reference if I need it, but I try not to use my notes just because I've just noticed just the difference in my preaching when I use my notes versus when I don't use my notes. And I want to be able to be more fluid and more free in what I'm saying and what I'm doing. And so I try to keep the notes behind me and I try to know as much as I can on it, the flow.
How was your first sermon?
My first sermon, I preached, it was called My Story, My Song. Wow. And that day was super special to me. And I had some family that had flew in to see me preach for the first time.
Wow.
We had a guest worship leader at the time. And God really just moved. And it was just one of those things where I was like, what in the world? It was really honestly a beautiful first time preaching because I felt like God moved. I felt so supported. I felt so championed. I felt like, you know, I couldn't lose because it's like there's no failure. Just deliver God's word and you can't lose.
Wow, mine was interesting. I think I was preaching on vision, and it was very, very weird because I was not prepared. It was just not that I wasn't prepared. The pastor just rocked up in church, didn't even speak to me, and told the church that I'm preaching next week, and I was not. It's like, whoa, and all these people. So it was like. Thank God he was not there, so I could say all of the things that I could say when he's not there. But yeah, it kind of worked out. Yeah. So I have this thing that I've been calling 60 seconds of glory, but leaning towards, changing the name to break time. So this is break time. So this is how break time works. I have with me here these. I don't know if you can see them. Little scripture cards. So what will happen is I will pick a random scripture card, read out the scripture, and you have 60 seconds to go crazy on that particular scripture.
Let's see how this goes.
Yeah. So which should I just pick any color for you?
Go for it.
Okay. So you see, it's not rigged. I'm even shuffling it right now. Okay. I think it's John 5. I think John 5 verse 24, which says, "Those who listen to my message and believe in God who sent me have eternal life, and they will never be condemned for their sins."
I love that. This is some deep theological verses. But I love that. I think that is just such a picture of what happens when we actually listen to what God says. And I think it's important for us to realize that there's a difference between listening and hearing. I think the verse says that those who hears my word and believes. And so on our end, we have two things that we've got to do. We actually have to hear what God says, but we actually have to listen to something for insight and belief. He promises us eternal life. He promises us that we can have all these riches and glory. And the way that we can receive that is on our part is to hear from him. So how do I hear from God? I've got to be still. I've got to listen. I have to be intentional about actually hearing what God says. And how do I believe? The way that I believe is to trust God at his word. The biggest thing that as young people, as young leaders, for us to understand is that our worth is found in who Christ is and in the finished work of Christ. A lot of times we equate if I don't work hard enough in his finished work. And so my encouragement is to know that there's a God who loves you, who is for you, that even before you did one thing, that he's chosen to love you. So God's love for us has nothing to do with what we actually do, but it's because he simply loves us. And when we begin to view ourselves as loved before we have to work, and view ourselves as loved before we have to do anything, we'll actually see the nature of God, and we'll see who he is as somebody who is for us, who loves us, who cares about us, who has great plans for us. And so in this generation, we don't have to worry or look to the left or look to the right of what our life will be. As long as we put our trust and our faith in God, and we put one foot in front of the other, we will see that God's plan would be revealed. And his plan is a good plan. His plan is a perfect plan. What he has for us is better than what we can dream up of ourselves. So we don't have to compare ourselves to people. We don't have to try to live up to any other standard besides the one that God has already set for us. And so that encouragement is just for you to live your life knowing that you are loved. And I think that it changes your perspective when you're walking around from the place of, oh snap, I'm loved. It's not that I've got to work to be loved, but I'm already loved. And it does something different in the way that you see life. It does something different in your character and your nature. It does something different in how you perceive and how you behave when you know that you are living from a position of love and not having to work for love.
Wow. Thank you very much. Thank you. Manouchka, thank you very much for joining us. I really appreciate you agreeing to do this.
Of course.
You are amazing. You are the best.
I appreciate that.
The best. I can't wait to come to Miami. I am coming.
You gotta come.
Bucket list 2020. That is happening. Thank you very much.
Definitely. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So